I just thought it was so good to do this day. Oh, hello, class. We miss you a lot. We are currently at Ubu Tech, not at this moment, but when you're watching it, we'll be at Ubu Tech. We just wanted to take a moment of your time to talk to you about some really great plays and musicals that we thought you should know about. Caroline, what musical did you look at?
This week, I researched Gypsy, which is a musical written by Arthur Lawrence, Stephen Sondheim, and Jill Stiles. And Jordan, what did you read this week?
I read The Bus Stop by William Inge. You know what? I really would love to know about those characters in your play. Could you inform me about them?
I would love to. Well,
thanks.
As we're sure that Lori and Lisa already told you, the theme we have chosen to connect our 8 works of theater together is the idea of self-identity through rebellion. Just to put that out there. But now to answer Jordan's question, let me just talk about the main characters in Gypsy for a hot second. As I'm sure many of us know, the protagonist of the show is Mama Rose, who is the controlling stage mother of June and Louise, her daughters. And Louise is the shy, less talented daughter in Rose's act, and she eventually becomes a famous striptease actress. And June is the more talented sibling and the star of the act, but she wants to leave her mother's kiddie act and move on to real acting. So she elopes with a boy, also in the act, whose name is Tulsa. And then we have Herbie, who is the manager of Rose's show, and also her lover. And then, as some more secondary characters, we have Mazeppa, Electra, and Tessitura, who are the burlesque ladies who help Louise form her striptease act before she has to go on stage.
Wow, that sounds really interesting.
So, would you like to tell the class about the characters in The Bus Stop?
I would love to. So, in The Bus Stop, we got Elma and Grace, and they are the waitresses at the diner, which the whole play takes at. And then we have Will. He is the older sheriff of the town. And then on the actual bus, we have Dr. Lyman, Sherry, who is a young nightclub singer who is avoiding life. We have Bo and Virgil. And Bo and Virgil are these husky cowboy men who Virgil's a little older and takes care of Bo, who was orphaned as a young child. Very sad. And then finally we have Carl, who was the bus driver. I guess I should mention that Elma and Grace. Elma is young and working her way to college, and Grace is older and divorced. That will all come in later when I describe the plot. But I, for one, would love to know the plot of Gypsy first.
Well, Gypsy, the musical, was written in 1959, and it is based on the real-life memoirs of the famous striptease artist Gypsy Rose Lee. And the story focuses around Rose, a domineering stage mom, who runs a tired kiddie act in the failing vaudeville scene of the times. And her act stars her younger, more talented daughter, June, as we talked about, and her older, shyer daughter, Louise, is in the background of the act. And both daughters want to leave and don't want to do it anymore. June wants to be a true actress and go out on her own, and Louise has no interest in performing whatsoever and just wants to live a normal life at home with all her pets. And eventually, cracking under the pressure that Rose puts on her, June leaves the act, she elopes with Tulsa, and sets out on her own. And Rose is furious. She's so mad and devastated, so she decides that she's going to make a new act centered around Louise, and Louise will be the star. Except, as we might remember, Louise is not particularly talented and doesn't like show business, so this is kind of a bad plan that she has. So, Herbie, her lover / manager, begs Louise to kind of let the act go, let Louise live a normal life, and Rose agrees after one final show, and when they get there, they realize they've accidentally booked it at a burlesque house. And Herbie talks to her again. He's like, let's not do this, let's just go home. And she says, okay. And then all of a sudden, right after she's agreed to leave, the burlesque house's star striptease artist for the night gets arrested. And so Rose's undying ambition for her daughters gets in the way once again, and she pushes Louise to do it. So Herbie leaves in disgust of Rose's behavior. Louise performs the striptease and becomes a huge success and takes on the stage name Gypsy Rose Lee and leaves her mother behind in her fame. And Rose is left bitter, resentful, and alone, though she finally admits at the end of the play, I did it for me.
Wow. That sounds like a really good musical.
It is. It's really good.
You know what's also really good?
What?
The play Bus Stop.
Oh, why don't you tell us about the plot of Bus Stop?
I will. So, we got a snowstorm happening, and this bus arrives at this diner, but they can't make it past the diner because the roads are so bad. So all these characters I previously talked to you about enter the diner late at night. And throughout the play, it is a lot. It's a play that's not a lot of dramatic action, but it is a lot of conversation and it is a lot of self-identity. And so we have Sherry, who is being pursued by Beau, the cowboy, and Beau is trying to force Sherry to marry him. And Sherry is young and at first gets the sheriff Will to intervene, will have nothing to do with Beau, and by the end of the play, through many conflicts, ends up deciding that she believes in true love, she believes that true love can change her life, and gets back on the bus to go and live a life with Beau. We have Elma, and Elma's little story throughout this is this Dr. Lyman woos her and charms her with all this knowledge. He's an ex-professor, which we don't learn till later, because we learn at the end of the play that he's flirting with her, makes these dates with Elma, that he is actually on the run from the law for having scandalous rendezvous with other young ladies. And Elma kind of has this self-identity where she finds herself as a sexual being, but she also realizes that she can do better in her life than people like Dr. Lyman. We have Carl and Grace, and I, for the sake of this presentation, will argue that Grace is our protagonist, and she is kind of the status quo for this. In the 1950s, she's alone, she's single, she's working at this diner, and she opens the play and she closes the play. And we see her at some point go off with Carl, the bus driver, and it is implied and blatantly stated that they have sexual relations. And she's the one who kind of, after everyone gets off the bus, when people get back on the bus to go and move on with their lives, this diner was kind of like a stopping point where time stopped and people had to be like locked in, and they sing and they recite Shakespeare. Grace at the end of the night goes back to her same life, locks up the diner saying, I'll be back tomorrow. And that's the basic plot of The Bus Stop. Oh, since we're talking about these plays, let's how do they connect to our overarching theme, Caroline?
Well, Gypsy actually works really well with our theme of identity rebellion. Yeah, because as we talked about, June and Louise both leave their mother behind after she pushed them to fit this certain way of life that she wanted to live and have them try to be this identity. She wanted June to be this baby June character where she's young and cute forever, and she tried to turn Louise into what June used to be, and so both of them had to break free and find their own identity. And so they both find the path that's right for them. June goes and becomes a successful actress in the real acting scene, and Louise takes an unexpected path, but it's her own and separate of her mother's success and has nothing to do with her mother trying to control her life. So they both had to leave her behind in order to do that. So it works well with, rebellion and finding yourself as a person. And yeah, how does The Bus Stop connect to our theme, Trinity?
I would really pinpoint Grace and Elma, the two waitresses, in this, because Grace finds her self-identity throughout the play. She kind of accepts herself as a non-housewife, an unconventional woman in the 1950s. And even though she's been left, she doesn't become a widow, she doesn't become depressed. She has this job, and she is having sexual relations with Carl, who is, did I mention he's married? So more scandal. But she's okay with it. She's very open with it. And it's not about having sex, it's about being liberated with who she is. And also, Elma, sadly enough, sees Grace as the person she doesn't want to become. And throughout this play, she kind of discovers that college is the right path. College is going to take her where she's going to go. And she's rebelling against the society norms and going to college, becoming an educated woman, and doing it. Well, that's great. I
Miss
hope you
you,
guys
Bill.
have a
We
great
miss
time